Hello and welcome back to Karma Stories. I'm Rob and I hope you are having a wonderful day today. Today I have some stories for you from the Neighbors from Hell subreddit. These ones you're not going to want to miss, especially the last one, which is a bit of a departure from stories that we normally cover here, as you might be able to tell from the title. Alright, without talking any further, let's just jump right in. This story comes to us from Fira Ann. My neighbor accused me of stealing her Amazon package. Turns out her husband did. So last month, my neighbor comes banging on my door like she's the FBI. No hello, no good morning, just straight to, I know you took my Amazon package. I was stunned. I asked her what she was talking about, and she says she has camera footage of someone in a hoodie walking up to her porch. I live next door, and yeah, I wear hoodies, so apparently that was enough for her to decide it was me. I told her to show me the footage, and she said it was too blurry to tell, so it's not proof, just vibes. I laughed and told her she was barking up the wrong tree, but she stormed off, muttering something about calling the cops. Fast forward 2 days, I'm taking out my trash when I see her husband sneaking the same Amazon box from his car into their garage, trying so hard to be low-key. Turns out he ordered a fancy blender for his health kick, didn't tell her, and it got delivered while she was out. He brought it inside later and played dumb when she realized it was missing. So she accused me, screamed at me in front of neighbors, and then nothing. No apology. No, my bad. Just avoids eye contact and waves awkwardly like we're cool now. Now, every time I see her walking her dog, I make sure to smile and say, hey, got all your packages? Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called Hypatia Redux. It says, I love the part where you keep on rubbing it in. Well played. There's a whole bunch of people down in the comments on this one that are saying that OP's neighbor wouldn't know that their husband ordered something, so how would they know there was a parcel there that went missing in the first place? Were none of these people paying attention when they said that they caught them on camera stealing the parcel wearing a hoodie? It doesn't matter if the neighbor knew that her husband ordered anything or not. She saw that there was a parcel in front of her house on their camera, and then she saw somebody take it. I don't know why that's so hard to understand for a vast majority of the people in the comments on this one. Okay, let's go conspiracy theory on this one. Does anybody think that the husband dressed up in a hoodie just to frame OP the neighbor? Let me know in the comments down below if you're on YouTube or on Spotify. This story comes to us from Other Cantaloupe 4765. My apartment neighbor plays guitar all night long, and she's butt at it. I'm about to get payback. I effing hate my apartment neighbor so much. She's in the unit next to me. She stomps so hard it shakes the building. She constantly has people banging on her door every single day, all day long. Her probation officers are always here pounding on her door while she hides from them. She's even called the fire department because she smelled gas. There was no gas. She's just a crackhead. Her 2 boys are effing dip craps and they're extremely obnoxious and loud. I'm hard of hearing and yet I can hear every last word they scream outside and inside. They have no respect for the other tenants. They lean a chair against my apartment door to play that guitar, and I've told them to stop. And this lady plays guitar constantly, usually against our shared wall. The same 3 chords repeatedly. She is the most butt guitar player you've ever heard. She sucks at it. Sometimes she even sings. Sounds just like a beached whale. Uncanny. And she'll play the guitar like that for actual hours at a time. Sometimes she picks it up at 9 p.m. and plays it clear to 5 a.m. I can hear it everywhere in my apartment, even in my bedroom with the door shut. I've banged on the wall before, but I don't think she gets the idea. Who the F plays loud guitar at 2 a.m. in an effing apartment building? Buttholes, that's who. Anyway, my mom is clearing out her house before moving to another place, and she found a guitar I had as a child. She sent a pic of it to me and asked me if I wanted it. Oh yes, I almost said no. Almost. Then it occurred to me that I could use it to my advantage. Every time the neighbor picks up her stupid guitar in the middle of the night and plays crappy music, I'll pick up mine and play even crappier music. Hot damn, do I feel like an evil genius. I will update everyone on how it turns out. Laugh out loud. OP, I think there's a couple of ways you could deal with this one, some of them being extremely devious and some of them being just a return for what they're giving you. So, this person seems to like to stay up all night, so I think you should spend your time playing your guitar during the day when they want to sleep, if you're home of course. Your other option, if you really want to go scorched earth though, is to sit down and record a whole bunch of your guitar playing. You know, that wonderful, odd music that you like to play that really has no beat and no tune to it. It's just random chords, yeah, that stuff. And then play it back on a loop and leave the house. This story comes to us from Numerous Reserve 5349. Am I being a Karen? I'm a 46-year-old single woman who used to be fairly confident standing up for myself, but is now totally sapped by the idea of being seen as a Karen. Probably not helped by being fully in the right age bracket for it now. Anyway, I had an encounter with the friend of a neighbor that's left me genuinely shaken, but really don't know if I should ignore it. This is the note I want to send to the neighbors, who I've never met, about it. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Am I in the right to send this, and will it do good anyway? Am I doomed to being a Karen in the mind of the world now where I'm a spinster anyway? Hi, Claire and Matt. We've never properly met, but I live downstairs. I hope you'll receive this message with goodwill with which it is intended. I wanted to write to you because I was upset and unsettled by the experience I had with your guest yesterday. He approached me as I left the building, asking if Matt lived here. I had no idea who he was, so told him to ring the buzzer. At which point, he shouted at me. When I came back several hours later, he reappeared on the doorstep. As I let myself in, he pushed his way past me into the house. When I asked him to wait outside, he shouted at me that I was giving him a bad vibe, claimed to live here, and forced his way in. Please bear in mind that I have never seen this person before yesterday. I have lived in this building for 19 years, during which time both neighbors and I have been assaulted on the doorstep and experienced several burglaries. Our street is not known for its safety. I hope you'll agree that none of us should be letting anyone in if we don't recognize them, whether they claim to live here or not. If anyone is staying here for any length of time, they should have a key. This is home for all of us and needs to be a place in which we feel comfortable and safe. Matt, you saw how distressed and intimidated I was and could see that your guest was displaying aggression. Please ask him to be more considerate. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called the Duronron. It says, not a Karen to send that, and if it happens again, pushes you, yells at you, call the police. Completely agree with this commenter. OP, somebody tried to force their way in behind you into the house. How were you to know if they were going to your neighbor's place or if they were trying to get into your place for whatever reason? That's creepy, and you would have been completely justified to turn on that person and knee them in the nuts. In this case, I would send the letter to the neighbor, I would talk to the police and get it on file that they pushed their way in once already, so that if something happens again, it's already there, and they know that there's been multiple occasions of it happening. That would make them respond faster, hopefully, because we all know how well the police do at responding quickly, right? This story comes to us from Velour Thorn. My neighbor keeps feeding the local raccoons, and now they knock on my door. Okay, so I thought I was living in a normal suburban neighborhood. Trees, fences, quiet nights, peaceful. Then my next door neighbor decided she wanted to help nature. At first, it was cute. She'd toss out a few grapes or cat food for the raccoons. I didn't care. But now it's evolved into a nightly feast. I'm talking about full plates of spaghetti, hot dogs, and leftover pizza laid out on her back porch like a buffet. Now the raccoons have formed like a gang. They show up at the same time every night like they're clocking in for work. They sit there waiting for her porch light to turn on, and when it doesn't, they come up to my place. I'm not kidding, they knock on my door. Like actual knocks. Tiny little thump thump thump. The first time it happened, I thought it was a kid. Opened the door and came face to face with 4 raccoons just staring at me like, you got snacks or what? I told my neighbor and she said, Aw, they trust you. That's beautiful. No, Susan, it's terrifying. They trust me too much. Last night, one of them dragged a sandwich bag up to my porch like it was trying to barter. I'm afraid to leave the house after dark because they wait by my steps like I owe them rent. At this point, I'm not sure who owns this property, me or the raccoon mafia next door. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called KSU2478. It says, take pictures or videos and contact animal control. Raccoons can get rabies. Animal control can also fine the lady because you aren't to feed wild animals. Big issues like you are seeing. Then they might trap them to relocate them far away. I was camping by myself years ago, and the raccoon actually unzipped my tent, and I woke up to it eating my cookies. I got out and left the door open. Then, all night, raccoons tried to get in my tent, scratching at it. It is scary. They ripped a hole in one of my tents and got in the cooler. You don't want them around, even though they are cute trash pandas. This story was really funny for me because a couple weeks ago, I was woken up around 2:30 a.m. by an extremely loud crashing sound outside, and I had no idea what it was. So, went outside to check it out, and my neighbors, who leave their trash can and their green bin outside, well, it was lying down on their driveway. My neighbor actually came out to their back deck because they were woken up by the crashing sound as well, and they said that they saw a gigantic raccoon in their garbage can. So, since then, their garbage and their green bin has been stored in their shed. Definitely no more loud noises at night, and good sleep for everybody. This story with updates comes to us from IronC975. Neighbor painted their house and sprayed my car. How should I handle this? Neighbor has been having their house fixed up, new roofing, landscaping, etc. Last Wednesday, I came out to painters painting their garage, which is about a foot away from the fencing dividing where I park. So about 3 feet of garage pokes over the fence. My car was covered in plastic, and I thought, oh, that's a nice thing to do. And since I was on my way, I had to take it all off. I told the guys thanks and said I'd park elsewhere so they didn't have to do it again. Find out later that there are specks of paint all over my windshield, hood, driver window, roof, driver door, etc. It feels like sandpaper. You can hear it like scraping crust when I use my wipers. Went and got a car wash today, it's now Sunday, and it made no difference. I went to knock on their door 3 times around 6 p.m. and people were moving around and didn't answer. I went home, wrote a note saying, hey, here's what happened, call me, and took it back over. All the lights were off, TV still on in the back. I took a photo of the note, took a photo of the note on the door, have a car wash receipt, have a text to my neighbor saying to avoid parking nearby from Wednesday. Any ideas on following up, assuming they don't follow up? We're gonna go straight to the updates on this one. The first one says, y'all pulled through and gave a lot of great advice and food for thought and things to bring up during conversations. My plan for now is to go through insurance and see what we can do. I have receipts, conversation screenshots, I talked to my neighbor about being a witness, etc. I'm going to see how far we get. Hopefully my neighbor cooperates. Not their fault exactly, but it would be nice to get their support. I have a $100 deductible on my comprehensive coverage, so I won't be out a lot to get it back to normal. And thank you for the advice about making sure my car matches all the way around so I don't have any shiny spots. The worst case is getting a quote and going to small claims court to get it handled. Ideally, insurance will literally take care of the whole thing, but we'll see. Update number 2 says, a worker was outside and I walked over to ask him if he knew the painters and gave a super quick version of what happened. We had a staring contest, so I asked him again. I basically muscled politely to give him my phone number. Dude had paint on his pants, so they clearly knew each other as he was painting later on. Also, the neighbor's door no longer had a note. Took a photo of the guy's license plate. Update number 3 says, left a note asking for contact info and that I will be getting insurance involved on their car window of the owner tenant. I took a photo of their car as well. I don't know, we'll see what's next. Update number 4 says, my neighbor finally called me. Funnily enough, the caller ID was my county's assigned counsel, so she might be a lawyer. Gave me the company's info and I'm looking at options. Might get a quote before going through my insurance to decide how to proceed. Who knows if the company will cooperate, but if it's like $300 I might drop my claim and be like, hey y'all, give me $300 and we're good. Most of the comments down below this one were people telling OP that they need to get their insurance involved and have them deal with it, because they'll know the best shop for it to go to, the work will get done regardless of how much it costs, and they'll go after the proper people to get their money back, whether that be the painters or the homeowner next door. You pay for insurance for a reason, this is a perfect time to actually use it. This story comes to us from Missoula Redhead. Those trees are all yours. So to set the scene, our house is on the corner. Neighbor A parallel to us, neighbor B behind us. We've lived here since 2015. When the neighborhood was built, there were rows of trees, not native to the area, planted between the houses. Lovely idea, lousy execution. The trees got leggy, overgrown, and became a serious hazard. Our chain link fence looked bad, and a couple of times we were just lucky nothing was damaged. Neighbor A had quite a few dents from falling limbs as well. Last spring, after a particularly big limb narrowly missed wiping out the roof, we took our trees down. We had trees on two sides, between us and neighbor A, and another row between us and neighbor B. Between was something of an aisle. Anyway, after we took down our 20 trees, neighbor A also took down their 10 trees. Now on to neighbor B, who insists that their trees are on our plot, and at first wanted us to pay to take them down. When we refused, because no, they're on B's property, she offered to split the cost. Still, no. Their trees are now hanging on by a thread. B is still insisting the trees are our responsibility. Yesterday, they offered to show me where the property marker was. It's clearly been moved, because if that's our back property line, then not only the trees, but B's fence, HVAC unit, and shed are also all on our property. Short of paying for a surveyor, around $1,000 where we are, is there anything I can do? I mean, I'm not giving in, but darn. Jumping down to the comments on this one, we have one from a user called the Paintbrush Jester. It says, it's illegal for anyone except a surveyor to move property pins. I'd make a police report ASAP, because if they're desperate enough to move property pins to make you pay to take down trees, there's really no telling what other laws they're willing to break. Get cameras too. I don't think this is an issue where you need to bring in the police. I think this is an issue where you need to write them a well-written letter that says, if that's where the property line is, you need to remove your HVAC unit and anything else that happens to be on our side of the plot. That might actually help them realize just how dumb they're being. Beyond that, your original purchase documents for your property might actually have a survey in them that you could bring out and show to the neighbor. Or you might even be able to go to your local city office and see if they have a copy of it on file already. This story comes to us from Fantastic Bird 5247. STFU, I can hear everything, was what I yelled at 4:30 a.m. this morning. Backstory for context, I live in a modern loft designed by a well-known architect here in our town. The lofts are connected to their offices. It's a cool building, and I'm very lucky to be able to live there. I was their second tenant, so I kinda have a grandfathered in deal. A little over a year ago, I got a new upstairs neighbor. Let's just call her Justine, name changed. She's nice, keeps to herself, gave me a jump start one morning for my car, and has always been quiet up until recently. We've talked a few times, but for the record, I don't find her attractive. About a month ago, I was woken up by something around 1:30 a.m. It took me a second to figure out what it was. My neighbor upstairs was getting pounded out like an adult movie star. Let's just say she's very vocal and quite repetitive. She lives here too, so I was hesitant to say anything out of respect for her as a woman. It's easier when it's another guy and you can crack a joke in passing. It's kinda gone on regularly for the past month. I try to put it out of my head, but she's really loud, and there must be something about the high ceilings and the industrial AC unit we have that amplifies what they're saying at night like a speaker, because it sounds like they are in my loft with me. Finally, after being woken up around 1:30 to her going at it over and over and over again every 30 minutes or so, then they would stop, I'd almost get back to sleep, then it starts all over again. Around 3:30 a.m., I yelled, "Shut up!" Nothing. A few minutes later, pounding on the wall below her bed, "Shut up!" so they turn the TV on and keep going at it. Then move to another part of her apartment just as loudly. So I yell at the top of my lungs, STFU, I can hear everything. They get quiet, but I can still hear her, so I legit call in a noise complaint to the cops at 5:37 this morning. And when telling dispatch what was going on, I made sure to be loud enough that they could hear what I was telling the cops. I heard her guy leave shortly after that, just before 6 o'clock, and she left for work at 6:30 a.m., quiet as a church mouse trying not to make any noise. Hey OP, you said you're in the building where the architects have their office? They built this building and you can clearly hear the people above you? I would record the sounds that you're hearing there at night, then walk into the architect's office, just put it down on the desk and play it so they can hear what's going on in your unit. You know, there's another fun way to deal with this one as well. When somebody's making a lot of noise like that, and they're obviously having more fun up there than you are currently, well, you should just get yourself involved. Start screaming back at them and making comments about what they're doing and how they could be doing it better. I can't believe I just said that, and this is totally not the kind of story we normally cover here, so this is a little different, but I'm gonna heavily lean into this one, probably even title this episode based on this one story alone, because I can, yeah. And on that note, let's go ahead and end this episode here. If you enjoyed this one, make sure to follow us on your preferred podcasting platform. If you're on Spotify, remember you can rotate your phone and get the video over there now as well. I thank each and every one of you for watching and listening. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.